I hope you're well and having the most incredible day. As always, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 7 books I read in December. I feel like I've done really well this month. Last year, I managed to read 4 books, but this year I read 7, so we are definitely upping the amount, which is what we like to see. I also, within the 7, have the first ever book that I DNF'd, which is very rare for me. Obviously, it being the first one. I just don't like to DNF. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but my brain just can't do it. I just feel like I have to finish it. But there is a book in this 7 which I absolutely just did not like at all, and I will be including it in this video. So without further ado, we are going to dive right in. I hope you guys enjoy and carry on watching. So the first few books I'm going to talk about were featured in a Read Christmas Books for a Week video. I worked really hard on that. If you guys haven't seen it, please go and give it a watch. But yeah, I'm going to feature them in this video as well. So the first book I read in December was Wreck the Huls by Tessa Bailey. I gave this one a 3-star. I didn't overly love it, I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't my favourite. So in this one, you've got beat and you've got melody, and essentially they are two, it's hard to describe what they are, to be honest. They basically met once years ago because their mums used to work together in the music industry, and then they sort of went separate ways and then got kind of reconnected. And it was very insta-lovey, very insta-girlfriend, very insta-wants to propose. And I just didn't like that. Like, there was no bonding at all in this book, and I really didn't like that. I did give it a 3-star, as I said, because I did like the overall idea of the story, and there was a lot of dad drama, which I enjoyed, but I really just didn't like the insta-love vibe. And I don't mind a little bit of insta-love, but this was just like, I have met you for a week and I want to propose kind of vibe, and I just wasn't into that. But essentially in this one, you've got beat, you've got melody. Instantly, I hate the name beat anyway because it's just too musically. You guys know what I mean. Both of their mums basically used to work in a band together, and they had this really big argument, which you guys don't know about until sort of the end of the book. Beat and melody is kind of, they're basically not forced, but their kind of idea is to get them back together for this like TV reunion, and it just wasn't Christmassy at all. I looked at this book, the cover is beautiful, but it didn't give me Christmas, which is what I wanted. So that is why I give it a 3-star. Wasn't my favourite. Looking back on it, I'd probably give it a 2, but I'm gonna stick with 3. Will I recommend it? Probably not. Just wasn't my favourite, and I just didn't feel anything towards it. So that is the first book I read. The next book I picked up in December was Window Shopping, again by Tessa Bailey. I mainly picked this one up because it was so small. I thought it would be really ideal for a reading Christmas books with me video, so that is why I bought this one. This one I also gave a 3-star. So essentially in this one, you've got Aiden and you've got Stella, and Stella comes out of prison and she's sort of stood there staring at this window display. Aiden instantly falls in love with her and offers her a job in this big department store to do up the windows, and it's kind of like a very insta-lovey vibe again. That is why I gave it a 3-star. I also feel like it could have been longer, so got a little bit more of the backstory. You do find out why Stella went to prison. I just feel like we needed more. We could have really done with some like different POVs, maybe some flashbacks. I just feel like it wasn't, we didn't have enough information for me to want to give this any higher than a 3-star. Very insta-lovey. He is very golden retriever-esque. She is more guarded and that kind of thing. To be honest, there isn't much that goes on in this story apart from the fact that Aiden hires her to do the window displays. She does the window displays and then they fall in love. That is why I gave it a 3-star. It gave me a bit more Christmassy vibes than this one, but it wasn't giving me ultimate Christmas, which is what I wanted from these books. So yeah, again, another 3-star. Wasn't great, but it wasn't awful. So the next book we have is Inner Holidays by Christina Lauren. Now this was mine and Becky's book club pick of the month, and I also included this one in my reading Christmas books video, and I actually really liked this. This is a time loop kind of Groundhog Day style book, which I have read a couple in the past and I didn't particularly like it. However, this one was very, very good. It didn't go back in time and like repeat the day very much, and it also was repeating like a week's worth of days, so it wasn't really boring in that sort of sense. So I really, really enjoyed this one. This one, I can't remember what her name is, Maylin Jones, and basically she has a Christmas at this house with a bunch of her family and like friends, and basically things start to go wrong and she's on the way home and she's in a car accident, and then it goes back in time and back in time, and then you sort of figure out what she needs to do to sort of break this loop, and it is very, very good. I gave this one a 4-star, and considering again that it's like a time loop sort of story, I think that was a very, very good rating. But yeah, I really liked this one. It wasn't boring, it was very, very well done, and I just really liked the overall story of this one and the friendships and relationships, and I just very much liked it. So yeah, I wouldn't say it turned out how I thought it was going to either, so I really enjoyed that aspect of this. It was definitely more Christmassy. It wasn't ultimate Christmas, but it was definitely giving me more Christmas vibes than these two. So we were definitely on to something with this one, so I did really like that one. The next book was my favourite book of the month, and that was A Merry Little Meet Cute by Sierra Simone and Julie Murphy. I loved this book. I gave this one a 5-star. It was very, very good. It was super, super Christmassy. I absolutely loved it. So in this one you have B and you've got Nolan, and B is an adult film creator, shall we say, and Nolan is a pop star, sort of ex-pop star kind of person, and they both get hired to basically do this Christmas film, which obviously for B's sake a lot of people don't know who she is because they don't want to kind of ruin the sort of Hallmark Christmassy vibe knowing who she is. So it is definitely more on the insta lovey side, but in this book it particularly felt quite right, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so good. It was really just enjoyable to read. It was definitely spicy. If you don't like spice, don't read this one, but I just really, really liked it. I don't want to give too much away because I went into this blind and I thought it worked really well, not knowing what was going to happen. But essentially it's, like I say, about these two people that get hired to do a Christmas film. Obviously feelings do kind of grow because B knew of Nolan when he was famous, and Nolan does know of B, so they sort of already know who each other are and kind of have crushes, I suppose, on each other. So it was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you guys want to read a Christmas book, I mean, it wasn't necessarily just Christmassy, it was definitely more focused on the winter time, I would highly recommend this book. I know it's not Christmas anymore, but I did really, really enjoy this one. Next up, by the same authors, we have A Holly Jolly Ever After. This one I gave 4 stars, so I didn't like this one as much as the first one, but I did still really enjoy it. So in this one you've got Callum and you've got Winnie. So Callum was also a part of the band that Nolan was in, so they kind of do interlink to each other a little bit, so I would recommend reading the first book first. And then you've got Winnie, who was kind of the original actress choice for the first one, but she was in this accident. Anyway, they basically both get hired to do another film. This one is more of a spicy Christmas film, so they're not spicy people, but they get hired to do it, so it's almost the opposite of the first one. And this is, spoiler alert, so skip a little bit if you don't want to know, but this is like accidental pregnancy trope, which I did enjoy. However, Winnie did annoy me a little bit because she'd had a lot of issues in her past with boys and things like that. She almost made it that Callum was already at fault and was already a bad person, and I didn't like that so much. So yeah, other than that, I did really like this book. The couple was really sweet. I liked the way they sort of grew to know each other and handled everything, and I just thought it was really good. So yeah, this was a 4-star from me. I did really love it. This one wasn't as Christmassy as the first one because this one was sort of being filmed in the summertime, so I would say you could read this any time of year. It was very good. I highly recommend it. The next book I picked up was a non-Christmas book, which was really, really nice to read after reading 5 Christmas books in a row, and that is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. Now this is mine and Kelsey's book club pick of the month. If you guys don't know, me and my friend Kelsey have a book club. It's on Instagram. It is free to join. You can join in. We've already picked our book for January, so make sure you go and follow us over there. So in this one you've got Owen, Hayley and Bailey. So Owen is the dad, Bailey is his daughter, and Hannah is the stepmother. And basically Owen goes missing one day. No one knows where he's gone, no one can get hold of him, but there are little snippets of clues that he definitely knew he had to go somewhere. And I did like this one. I'm not gonna lie, I gave it a 4-star. It was actually really, really good. It wasn't what I expected, and there were bits of this book which I found rather strange, and I don't think the ending was necessarily what I wanted, but it did make the most sense. And I don't really want to go into what happened in this book because it does give it away, but basically you find out Owen isn't necessarily who he says he is. There is a lot more going on than meets the eye with this book, and I absolutely loved the kind of relationships that are grown throughout the book. Bailey and Hannah don't necessarily not get on, but Bailey is very guarded because since her mum passed away, she's like not interested in Hannah, her or knowing her or anything like that. So it is really nice to see their bond kind of come to life when they're looking for Owen. And it is very good. It wasn't what I expected, but I will admit I did fly through this book. It was very easy to read, very fast paced, and I did really enjoy reading it. It was a nice cleanse from the Christmas books. So I did really like this one, and I gave it a 4-star, as I said. And the last book I read in December was my DNF. And I'm not gonna lie, when I bought this book, I wasn't necessarily excited to read it. So I don't think that helped, but I did buy it from 66 Books and I got it at a really good deal. So I picked it up, and being like an OG YouTube lover, I had to give it a read. So that is Louise Pentland's Time After Time. Now, if you don't know who Louise is, she was very much best friends with Zoella. This is her here, and I used to love her videos back in the day. So I picked this up thinking I'd be really into it, and I'm not gonna lie, this was just not good. And I'm gonna try and not be disrespectful when I say this, because it is probably just me, but it just seemed like a 40-year-old English mother wrote it, which Louise is, so it makes sense, but it was just too much. Like, using words like cross, I just didn't like. Cross as in like angry. I was reading it and it just made me cringe, and I just didn't like it. The actual idea of this story I thought was a really wonderful idea. I just don't like how it kind of came about. So you basically have a character, cannot remember what her name is though. What was her name? Tabby. Tabby basically works in this vintage shop. She finds this ring, which every time she puts it on, it takes her back to 1989. And I just felt like not a lot of time was spent in 1989. So it kind of made it just was, I don't know, it just kind of, that was sort of an afterthought. You have David as well, which is her boyfriend, who is vile. And she's basically with him for far too long in this book, and her mum is going through a breakup with her dad because her dad just came out as gay. There was just so much going on that it just almost seemed like the 1989 aspect of this book was sort of washed away, and I just didn't like the writing style. I just found it it just dragged on. I mean, it is 380 odd pages, and I just felt like it just went on and on and on, and I had to stop reading it because I knew what was going to happen anyway, because essentially B meets this girl who is obviously her mum's sister who passed away back in the day. Spoiler alert. It just was taking too long for Tabby to realise who she was, and it was really annoying reading it, and I just didn't like it. So I DNF'd it at 299 pages. I was so close to finishing it, but I just could not. So I'm not going to rate this one. I mean, if I did rate this one, it would be a 1-star. It just wasn't my favourite. I wouldn't recommend it. If you guys like a very British reading, like sounding book, give it a go. I just didn't like the writing style. It just wasn't for me, and I won't recommend it. But that is my first ever DNF ever, so take that as you will. So those are all of the books I read in December. I would love to know down below what books you read in December. Did you love any of them? Did you hate any of them? Let me know down below. As always, if you haven't subscribed, please do. We are on our way to 11,000 of you, and I would absolutely love for you to join my little corner of the internet. It's a very safe space. So please join if you haven't already. I love you guys so very much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.